What's going on, everybody? Wilson here, your spiritual hype man, and I'm super happy to be back. And let's get right into it. All right. So last week I was at a cruise. We went on a cruise with the B&I group, and again, I've talked about it before on this podcast. The B&I group is local business owners that get together to meet and create relationships, start relationships, and then refer business to each other. Ultimately, a good way to not only meet people but to extend your service to others in the direct sphere, and then people obviously creating the relationships. Those people, your friends that you start the relationships, then also figure out ways to help incorporate your business, whether in terms of what they do or just providing referrals. And so I feel like there's a couple things that I got from the cruise. We got a chance to go out with, it was a good handful of BNI members and their partners. So one, I feel like right off the bat, it was a good way, and I think micro, right? So micro and macro. So micro, it was a good way to continue building the relationships that we've started. Getting a chance to educate ourselves around the people that we're doing business with, and vice versa. I feel like there's certain things that we shared, and not only partaking in cheers and drinks and food and all that stuff, but getting a chance to actually get to know someone further than the one day a week or the couple of one-to-one meetings that you have when it's priority, like when business is somewhat the priority of it, right? And so I think that was a big takeaway in regards to the people around you, and I believe we spoke in this on the last episode, is just being able to understand that you have a network of people, or if you don't have a network of people, finding that network of people that are interested in similar things than you are. And I think that starts off a good lead way, or a good beginning in terms of building relationships under a commonality. And I think that was really, really evident when we went to the BNI cruise. And of course, listen, I feel like there's the big perspective, the macro perspective. Everyone's going through something. Not everyone is as aware of, I don't know, the basic knowledge, or I guess self awareness of, who am I at the moment? What am I seeking? What am I looking for? How am I feeling? And how to act, right? Like, I feel like there's certain people, including myself, in certain situations that I think we're still developing these self-awareness, these things that at the end of the day, at the end of the day would bring us closer to this peace and harmony and happiness. Fill in your own vocabulary word, but that thing that you're looking for, where you're like, I've arrived. So I think that was the macro level of things, where um, I understood that it's important to do more than just, the norm of like meeting for business, and just taking a moment to like understand that life is really built on relationships, the relationship with yourself, and then the relationship with other people around you and those closest to you. And I think there's things that everyone, right? I don't feel like anyone's a master quite yet, in terms, I guess it depends on your circle, right? That you may have people that have mastered certain things. There's certain things that I feel like I'm a lot better at within myself, maybe compared to like a group of people. But again, I also understand that there's certain things that they're probably better at, and I'm open to receiving information. I'm open to it. So that's what I got from it. Okay, that was before I keep going into the macro sense of things, is I think is building these relationships and spending time, allocating time, right, depending on your situation, but definitely creating some sort of time for that building of relationships, for the adding more situations where people are involved in certain things that are fun, problem solving, going out, dance, like whatever you're interested in, or would make sense to you. I think that's a good thing. And again, the cruise, like, you're on the ship for 5 days or 4 days, so you kind of have to. You kind of have to be on the ship, and there's no going about it. Now, of course, you can, not have to hang out or meet with anybody or anything like that, but I feel like I feel like it's a good thing. It was a good part. So in my sense, a good example, there were a bunch of people there that I feel we connected on more of a level, and based on that, like not only are our relationship, tanks filled, but I feel like there could be even more things that we can do now, that we weren't doing before, like maybe going out to dinner, or finding other things to do to really just enjoy each other's company and like and laugh. Like we laughed a lot. I think that was one of the biggest takeaways too. I know John, shout out to John Gilvari, one of the painters of the group, and Dan, another painter. Dan, who's it was John and Angie, Dan and Chanel. It was Juan and his wife. Um, Another Dan. So there were three Dans. So there were three Dans. Uh, Dan and his wife Teresa. It was Dan and his wife, and it was there was a bunch of people. You probably don't know them, but a bunch of Dans, a bunch of other cool people. But yeah, it worked out well. And the other thing was, okay, so here's the other thing that I got from that. Not only building the relationships is important with people that you already know, but there's two things here. Patience, like on patience was huge because I feel like what happened on the ship, right? Like we're on a ship. If we think of it logically, there's a shit ton of people. 30, I don't even know how many thousand. There's got to be thousands of people, at least 1,000, right? There's got to be at least 1,000 people, if not more, on the ship. I feel like ships are just huge malls, with like living quarters, and it's kind of like public transportation to islands. Is how I summed it up. But I feel like there's a shit ton of people on the ship, and then depending on how many crew members or like where you are or what bar you go to or what restaurant you go to, um, there's a set number of people that are servicing the people that are on the ship. And there was plenty of times that I throughout the last couple of days where like there's like this overall mindset that like things need to be absolutely done right now, or I need to be serviced absolutely right now. And if I'm not, can't you see that I'm waiting here at the bar and I have not yet gotten a drink? Come on, So there was a moment where we went to a sports bar, and the sports bar didn't open yet. It was open at like 5 or 6. It opened at 5 for drinks, at 6 for food, and so that's fine, right? Like that's okay. But there was like, I don't know, 50 people surrounding the bar, right? 50 or 60. I don't want to say 50. Maybe 50 was a good number, right? 52. So 52 people surrounding the bar, and there's like four bartenders. And so like everybody was just like, as soon as the bar opened, everyone was like, hey, I want to drink, I want to drink. And depending on where the bartender started, like they had somewhat of a system moving down towards, right? It was almost like a circular oblong bar, right? So they both started from opposite ends and kind of worked themselves towards the middle, towards that end circumference. So when that happened, like I was basically all the way at the middle meeting point. So like basically I would be the last one, right? Like to be served. And so I was just like, you know what? It kind of sucks that I'm here waiting 30 minutes for a drink or whatever it was, like whatever the time allotted was. But I was like, you know what? Instead of complaining and being upset, I'm just going to be patient because one, I can't go anywhere. Two, we want to be at the sports bar. Three, look at the amount of people that are here compared to the amount of like servers or bartenders. And then four, there's nothing else I can do besides, well, I can either be patient and just be okay with it and just be in the moment, or be very upset the fact that like, hey, I've been standing here and no one's gotten to me yet. And so that happened, right? There were people like that were just like, hey, what the hell? I didn't get a drink. What? This is the worst cruise ever. It's like, all right, well, you're on the cruise. Like you're making it pretty fucking shitty for yourself or being upset and like not logically reasoning that there's 100 people here and, or 50 people here and there's four of them. So it's like, I just don't, I do understand because I guess I've been there, but that's what I'm talking about. Is I think that's the level of awareness, and I hope that these things, like what I'm doing, what you're doing, like it can not only help you, but at some point, help others, or they can see it. Because I feel like when they see things like that, then they sort of catch themselves and are like, oh yeah, I guess or state it in a way. Like I'm like now sometimes I state it in a way like I've had people where they turn around and they complain to you, they complain to me, and I'm like, yeah, but there are four of them and there's like 50 of us. So I understand, like and all of a sudden they kind of catch themselves when you give them like the logical reasoning, or the logical like components of the situation. So that happened. And again, so here's what happened. Like, here's the positive that came from that. So like the one guy was like getting yelled at, and just everyone's running around. And when it finally got to me, and there was like people around me, they got served, and then like two more people jumped in, like on both wings, right? Like on the left side and the right side. I was kind of in that middle, and so like finally got to me, but instead of being like, "Hey, you're jumping line," I just was like, "All right, man, I just kind of fucking wait." Like, you know what I mean? Like, you can grab your drink. What's another 2 minutes if not, right? Like, but he actually, the bartender saw me and provided me the attention because he saw that I was standing there. And when I gave him the minute, I said, "Hey, man, I'm sure you're busy right now, right? But like, how's it going? Like, are you having a good day or like whatnot?" It was like somewhat of small talk conversation, but like there was a connection that he understood, that I understood, that no worries, man, I'm patient. And whenever you have a moment, like, dude, this is what it is. And since we had that conversation, I came back the next day and I was like, "Hey, bro, what's up? You remember me from yesterday? Shit was crazy. How are you doing? How are things going?" "Cool, man. Like, whenever you have a time, like whenever you're ready, like I like to make a drink." And that relationship like took off for the last 4 days when we were on the cruise. So much so that he hooked us up with like wings and nachos. Like every day we went, he was like, "Don't worry about it. Like, I got you. Wings and nachos." And so again, like it's just that came from being. No one else got hooked up with wings and nachos from that dude, right? Especially no one that was upset at him for taking his time, or like, and not even taking his time. It's not like he was extra slow. He was just doing other things and servicing other people. So like that was an aha moment. I don't want to say aha because like I've had that understanding. It's like, dude, sometimes you just have to be patient with things, and I think that's the thing is like patience is something that I we all probably need to work on, because really I think again patience vocabulary, right? It's all vocabulary words that we use. I think patience is a vocabulary word that really just means our ability to take a minute, to take a breath, to assess the situation, the logical things that are happening, and then from there assess the logical action that we should take based on the situation. Um, yeah. So instead of saying that all that at once, you just say patience. So practicing patience, I think, is something that should be valued, right? And if it's something that you're like, man, like I'm not, I know that sometimes I'm not very patient, dude. I'm dudes and ladies and dudettes. I'm right there with you. There's moments where I'm sure we can all be a little bit more patient. Um, but again, it's practice. It's right. It's flexing those muscles. It's like knowing that I'm in this situation of being impatient and what can I do, right? And remember, it's physical can always beat the mental, right? So like if I'm feeling some sort of way, but I started doing push-ups and I force myself to do push-ups and jumping jacks and run around, like my endorphins are going to kick in and I'm not going to be so like emotionally negative, right? Like it's just part of it. So for everyone, it's not going to be the same for everybody when it comes to figuring out how you can be more patient or be more aware. But I believe that there's certain things that we can do that get you there, right? And there are similarities to some people. That some people may not want to do the breath work. Some people may not want to journal. They may not want to, but they may want to go and dance or run or play something or take a minute and just sing a song or whatever the case is for you. I think that's the beauty of it is understanding and raising this awareness around us, and then figuring out what it means to you and what are the things that can help you get to that level in a way that you enjoy it. And so that is my message. So that's my take on going away. Now there's a couple other things that I for sure will talk about, but I think that's a good one for us today, and I'll leave you on that. So on a macro level of sense, relationships, and I think building good relationships. But again, you have to be a good person. I feel like within yourself first, and you don't have to be whole, right? It doesn't mean that you have to be 100% whole. But I feel like the relationships that I have now compared to the relationships that I had prior to being more aware of the things that I needed to work on, I am a better person in these relationships that I can provide outside of something that what I just need for me, right? And I think that's a big aha moment. It's like when you are providing for yourself, you don't become the person that is seeking from others to provide for you all the time. And it's not like you can't, and there are things that you seek from others, like validation and shit like that. But I would say, and I just feel that the more we become better within our own self, the better we can be within, these other relationships. And I think that's where I find myself now, right? Because and here's another example, like the example of jealousy, right? I was a lot more jealous with certain things. I was a lot more jealous back way when. And certain trips like that, being on cruise ships or being on like public shit where people were just like, so much information happening at once, jealousy would have that emotion would overtake my logical reasoning at times, and then that would create fights and arguments and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I think that if I wasn't better at that as like a processor, almost like a computer processing this shit, then I probably wouldn't have been as a good person to myself, Patty, and then those people around me on the ship this last go around. And so that's another aha moment. And I think that's a good thing, like personally for myself, to acknowledge that and tell myself that I did a good job, because I did do a good job. And so yeah, build relationships, find something to do. Retreats. We're gonna have retreats. One of these days we're gonna have an awesome retreat. We're gonna keep trying, right? We're gonna keep trying these retreats. I think they're awesome. Every retreat I went to, you get something from it. So I'm excited to do something like that. But whether it's a retreat, a cruise, I don't know, sports games, anything that you can do to build your relationship with those closest to you, your business partners, anything that just helps people feel good about themselves. And again, remember, giving people the space to go do it if they want to, not if, like the opportunity to be included if they want, right? That's you can't force people. And I think forcing people is another thing that we can discuss later. But it was fun. Build those relationships, and then work on patience. Just think of the bartender and think if you were them, or think of you as the other person, or where can you be a little more aware of taking control of your actions when you become impatient, I think is a perfect way to end this one. Let's be a little more patient, building relationships. I love you guys. Thanks for tuning in. Keep crushing it. Please share the episode if you love it. Follow us anywhere you want to listen to the podcast. All right. Appreciate you guys. Have a great day. Go crush it. Keep crushing it. And we'll see you guys again soon. And don't forget, nothing changes until you do. Peace.